in slow motion, paddling with no question, early morning with the sun, not yet burning, innocent, I try to be a good son, myself 100%, I feel it inside.
Hi guys, welcome to Lushea Wonders Why podcast. Can I say a big thank you for all those that's actually supported me through the podcast. Really, I'm actually quite surprised that I've actually reached season 5, episode 1. Can you believe it? I can't. It's still hard to comprehend because it's something that I did not know when I, just put it into the universe. I didn't know how far it would go, but at the same time, I'm very much grateful of where I am. So I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's supported, everyone who's shown love all over the world, wherever you are. So I want to say a good morning, a good night, and a good afternoon from wherever you are listening to the Lushea Wonders Why podcast. Yes, we are on season 5, episode 1, as I mentioned, and this season really is mostly looking at the attitudes and the behaviors, just as us as people, different types of people, and how we communicate and how we connect and how we resist and how we can be backtracked sometimes based on various types of connections of how, we are felt, or the vibes that we get, or a certain experience that we go through. So we'll be looking at the attitudes and behaviors just in general, really. But particular with this season, I will be doing a lot more collaborations. If you've been following me throughout my journey, majority of my seasons have been just me on the podcast. So with this one, it's this season's going to be collaborations from all types, all over the world, which I'm really excited about. But I've just got to take it a step at a time. So without further ado, let's talk about the whys and let's just let it flow. So the question that we're looking at is why some people can never admit they're wrong. Why is it so difficult for people to admit when they're wrong? Now, to back me up on this particular topic, after the break, you'll be hearing a interview that I've had with the wonderful and the fabulous Rosalyn Kahn. She's an author, a coach, a previous TEDx talker, a professional speaker, and she's from San Diego in California. And she is a very inspirational woman within her own league. And we'll be hearing her opinion on why some people find it hard to admit when they're in their wrong. So my opinion is quite varied, really. So looking at examples, just the top of my head, admitting to wrong could be something small as buying the wrong flowers that someone's instructed you to get. It could be as in depth as being betrayed. It could be being lied to, being juggled by, being played by, rather. It could be something quite as serious as passing information or processing information while you're at work. You could be doing an admin job, customer service job, and a piece of information from somebody gets passed to you and you've heard it incorrectly and you've processed it incorrectly and it's just all gone down the pan. So it could be not admitting you're wrong in those type of examples. It could be letting a secret out. It could be car accidents. It could be an accident, any accident. It could be walking in your local town and it's packed and you've walked the wrong direction and you've bumped into somebody and they're like, oh, sorry. And it's just like, some people can't say sorry when clearly they were clearly in the wrong. So it could be some of those things, but looking from shallow to depth, as it's quite a wide topic, why some people can't admit they're wrong. From a psychological point of view, I try and think of it as two things really, as you either have a lack of self-aware or you are aware. And if you are aware, then it's a little bit of having that coward moment, that stubborn moment, that moment of being in denial. And it has different effects on ego. So it can boost someone's ego when they don't admit that they're wrong. There's some kind of being satisfied towards that, or it can, hurt someone's ego, making it very fragile. When someone finds it hard to accept responsibility, whatever that responsibility was and is. It can hurt someone's self-esteem as well, and that's when things can get into the psychological constitution of entrapment or mind entrapment kind of thing, and it then leads that individual, whoever that individual is, it could be that it leads them to blame other people instead of just admitting that you were wrong. Whatever that wrong could be. As I said, there could be examples of something small from something very, very in depth, hurting someone's emotion through betrayal or anything like that. So it's one of those things where, as well, I just think some people just everyone's got a past, everyone's got a history, and I think some people just hang on to the past, but to use it for the present, like whatever circumstances that happened to them in the past. It's depending on what those experiences were. It's like some people use that to blame others or hang on to it to become this person of not admitting to their wrong. As I said, admitting to your wrong could be anything as small as buying the wrong flowers to, as I said, lying to somebody, cheating on someone. It could be something like anything. So it's just one of those things where I think to myself, not everybody responds well to criticism, it's a bit difficult as well, depending on how that person speaks of the criticism, how they're trying to help that person. If they're trying to help that person, are they trying to belittle that person? It's all those kind of things really. And we all make mistakes, and I think I've got to think of it from a point of view of school. That's what it takes me back to, school. And thinking back to when I was in secondary school, to other people in different parts of the world, it's known as high school. And it's the case of a teacher telling you, this part of the mathematics was wrong, or this part of your physics, when you're studying physics, this experiment was wrong in your group experiment, and this is the part that you play, but you done it wrong, and this is how you done it wrong. And some people explain how to correct it, and then some people don't explain how you correct it. They just tell you it's wrong. Or you get your books handed out. I'm just thinking back now. You get your books handed out to you, slap onto the desk, and you open your book and you look at the last time when you was last in class, and then you just see these red writings, just red pen of opinions, and sometimes they're opinions with no help of how to correct. That's the more frustrating thing. So some people don't take criticism well, whether it's in your workplace. Again, it's the delivery of the criticism. And that can be difficult as well. And I just think of my personal experience of when I was in uni. Oh gosh, just doing assignments. I mean, if anyone's ever gone to college or studied a diploma or been in the last parts of high school and they've had to do really in-depth coursework and assignments, especially uni, and I tell you, these things can really send you through the roof emotionally and mentally. And depending on what tutor you have for what semester and whatever, some tutors are so harsh when they respond back to you with your work. Like, I can't explain. It's just highlights, highlights. This is what you've done. You shouldn't have done it. And there's just no help of how to guide you. Or they just tell you, look at how the referencing is done in Harvard referencing, and that's how you should follow. And you're looking and you're trying to do this, spot the difference. And you're just like, but I don't understand. We have gone wrong. Or you're looking at how you should have backed up a theory kind of claim or opinion. And, so it takes that admitting to you're wrong. And I think I had so many tutors throughout uni for different topics. It just takes that one person to sit with you and go through and have that time with you and say, look, this is where you've gone wrong. This is how you should have worded it. Yes, you were going around the topic, but this is what you need to say. You need to say this. Don't go around. Don't go around the circle. Say what you need to say, and your backup is great, but you're not saying the point. You're just going around the garden kind of thing. So I remember stuff like that when it comes to the the cognitive development of children development, and just looking at the growth from birth to adulthood, and looking at language and physical growth, and how the psychosexual and the behaviors and the personalities just influence the development of behavior through satisfaction and all those kind of things. It just all bringing back memories now. So it's difficult when you don't admit you're wrong. But with me, it was hard because it was like, no, I can't be wrong. Why have I got this low score when my score last time was much higher? And eventually I had to let down my guard and accept that I'm wrong, and redo the assignment, or given another chance for the next one that I've got to do. So it's just having that wider mind and that wider perspective of admitting that you're wrong, and this is where I've gone wrong, and I'm going to correct myself, and I'm going to do better, and I apologize. So it's just looking at things like that, and also looking at why people find it difficult to admit that they're wrong. Environmental factors, everyone's brought up differently in different parts of the world. Religious background, no religious background, culture differences, the whole shebang. It's just, there's so many factors around it, and you've got different parents, and it's very difficult in the sense of you can either have a lot of barriers growing up, or you can just be just out there and there's no rules, there's no barriers, like a limitless kind of thing. And it could be where you're harsh, that you can't make these mistakes because of how it will look on the identity of the parent or the guardian or the foster parents rather. And it's just looking at all those different things that install in a person as they get older, that they can't admit why they're wrong. Just can't admit why they're wrong. It's just not them. It just can't be. So it also it can hinder and become very toxic. Now, speaking of toxic, you've got toxic people, just like you got toxic foods and plants that we can't eat or something, stuff like that. And it's the case of with toxic people, that I think they are one of the hardest people to admit that they're wrong. You might as well go outside and have a walk, or find something constructive to do, because to waste your energy on someone toxic, it really drains you out. It can really hinder your emotions, and it's just all over the place. Some toxic people, I just think apologizing is not always genuine. It's like a script. It's like it's like a script so embedded in their head that it's just like as comfortable as saying hi and bye, and sometimes some toxic people use apology as a kind of manipulation. So you're probably thinking, what do I mean by that? It could be the fact that they manipulate you in a way, in giving what they want or getting what they want from you, in a certain way where you kind of, belittle yourself a little bit, and they trick you into like delivering your kind of forgiveness or getting the forgiveness out of you, rather than them, the person, actually should be the one apologizing. So you end up being the one that really either forgives them in a type of way, or for them, they find it hard to forgive you, so they put the blame on you. It's a whole lot of, it's twisted, absolutely mind games, twisted. That's why they're called toxic people. It's just crazy. So again, that can be another thing where people find it hard to admit that they're wrong. I think once you admit that you're wrong, it becomes quite empowering, but it takes a while for you to get there. Everyone's got their own measurements of time, and when someone finds it hard to admit that they're wrong, it's taking that accountability and taking that responsibility to say, look, this is what I've done, and I apologize, it won't happen again. But when you can't admit to it, again, it goes back to, if you've got that lack of being aware, or if you are aware but you're in denial, you're just completely in denial, because it's just hard for you to put out there that you're in the wrong. It just can't happen. So you will hear after the break the interview that I had with the wonderful and the fabulous Rosalyn Kahn, where she gives her thoughts, she gives her opinions, and a little bit of her stories actually, and experiences of, encountering with people that can't admit when they're wrong. Again, from the most deepest things to the most shallowest of things. So look forward to that, guys, and I'll catch you after the break.
Hi, my name is Rosalyn Kahn. I'm a professional speaker. I'm an author. And today I'm going to begin by, why is it that people can't admit they're wrong? My life is like a file cabinet of different people I've come in contact in life. And, I could go from stories of emails that I sent that shouldn't have gotten intended, and people take them as if the validity as if they were gone, and they can't admit they're wrong. I remember one time meeting someone, and there was a major misunderstanding. It was a funeral, and I went up, and she's like, you're this person. And I went up and I gave her this big hug. And it all goes down to, he says, she said. She said, I sent a text that I had a conversation. I'm like, I'm not psycho. I know what I said, and I said what I said, and she therefore went ahead and excommunicated me. I mean, there was a situation with another person. I did some work. I had an agreement that was working with me on some production stuff in the world. And we all know it's all about technology. Technology failing. There's a theme here.
Yeah.
There's a theme here.
Yeah.
And there was person one was told to go ahead and record something in this way, and person B said they had done it exactly as appropriate. And when the video came to fruition, it couldn't be used, and no one wanted to take responsibility for what it is or what happened. And here I am left holding the bag of what is. It's people make promises of things that they're going to go ahead and do, and they just leave them. And I think it's, in today's world, I was at an event this weekend, and I was helping someone to promote their event.
Mm.
And I wanted to be at the forthright and say, I'm inviting you to this event, and I want to let you know, because I don't want there to be any surprises, is that the cost for this event is X. And because I remember I had a situation with another person, and they were helping me out, and they said services cost X, and I agreed that services cost X, and then they said there was services cost Y. And I said, I don't remember the services cost Y. What are you talking about, this Y? And I spent literally the day going and saying, this is what I remember that I said. This is what I remembered you said. This is what I'm willing to pay for. And I'm willing to pay for this. And we're willing to do this. And they would never acknowledge the paper that I went ahead and said. And all day long, you're upsetting me. You're upsetting me. You're making me mad. You're making me mad. Will you just go ahead and respond to me?
You said,
and I'm like,
you said a key thing there, of acknowledgement and responsibility. People do find it difficult to accept responsibility. It's almost like you hurt some of their ego. So listening to that example, that was very interesting to hear, Rosalyn.
Yeah, it was just like, finally I just went ahead and said, take it.
Mm. You got to be
you may be thinking in the short sight, because if you had held out for the big opportunity, I mean, I had an opportunity that there's a person who's worldwide known, who has great clout, and you could have had the opportunity, and you didn't. And so, I was at an event this weekend, the same one that I was at, and I met this beautiful lady, and
wow.
And they say people are born on relationships and what you do and the person you are. And I said, can you help me? I need this little service in my life. And when I sent out the thing, and she said, what do you need done? I said, well, I kind of have a lot of things done. When I got the text this morning, and she said she'll check it out, and I'm like, this is what life is about. There's bigger players and bigger opportunities. And I said, hey, I'm going to be on this call this morning with Lushea, and I'm going to be telling the world, and I'm so excited. Another broadcast in England, and she wants to get it out there because there are people who want to utilize my services, because I say it like it is. There's a thing on my webpage. You go to RosalynCahn.com, and I don't sugarcoat things.
I like that.
And Lushea sent me 3 emails, and where are you? Well, I guess it must be on there. I better get on there, because I don't like when I tell people to be places and they don't show up. So maybe I was wrong. I thought 4 p.m. on United States time, but I was wrong. And it's like, we're human.
Yes, we are.
Why can't we just accept the mistakes that we've made and move on? It's like, the person with the video that didn't happen. I began with the Hawaiian homoanopia. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And I would do anything to have some semblance of this peace. And all you got was, it was a bad experience, and I wrote it off.
Yeah, it's a shame when people do that, really, because it in a way it's part of growth, but you have to then change to work around the mindset of who you're dealing with. I mean, it helps to be positive, and it helps to be straightforward and not sugarcoat things, like you said, because you see things clearly as you are, where you stand, how that person should receive you, and it just doesn't bring anything toxic. It just, there's no misunderstandings. So
yeah, I mean, it just goes on, and we ask the question, is it them or is it me?
Yes.
And I'll give you a clear example. I worked in an advertising agency, and it was in the Valley, and one day I had it was very slow. And so I would take the opportunity and I would practice my typing skills. There's never an opportunity to learn. And, I had a college degree and so on and so forth, but I needed to up my speed, and for good reason and good will how. And this lady comes up to me one day and she says, they're going to fire you.
Oh, wow.
Really? You know who got fired?
Oh, gosh.
She did.
Oh, wow.
And so when people put this stuff on you,
Oh, wow.
It's them.
Mm, mm, mm.
You know, they
But
just,
it's a
you know,
reflection of them that sometimes they put onto you.
it's them, and it's, you know, my beloved students in my class. I tell them over and over and over again, you know, the assignments are due at this particular time. They're due, they're due, they're due. I sent out a message, you know, they kept me after class. Why are these dates here? Why are these dates? Okay, you want me to change them? I'll change them. We'll make them all the same. And then they're like, do we have all these things that are due this day? I'm like, yeah. And at 10 o'clock, there's only 2 students who've submitted their assignments. I'm like,
Wow.
I want to help you on this. I want to help you on this, but I can't help you if you don't do what you're supposed to do.
Exactly, exactly. No, you're right. You're
And
right. I've been down the teacher road.
you got to step up to the plate and do what we got to do, because I can lead you to water, but
Yes.
I can't make
Can make you
you
drink.
drink, and you can't make you drink. And you know, there was an interesting quote that I wrote.
Oh gosh, let me
All
know the
these,
quote.
it's finding. Hold on here.
Okay, no problem.
It was something about. Let me turn on the light. Um, well, there was a joke about a refrigerator. I got to turn on the light.
Go for it. Go for it.
There is no better feeling in life than giving back to others. When we give back to others, it comes back to us in
Yes.
many ways. Um, it's better to give back. There's no better feeling. There's no better way than to feel in giving to others. It makes you wealthy in so many ways. Um,
And not just money wise speaking, in terms of
no, it's not
development.
money. It's not money.
Mm.
It's well, here we go. This is what I learned today in my morning meeting.
Oh, please share.
That
Please share.
I belong to this group called Thrivers, and you can join them too. And you're supposed to thank a person today for something that they've gone ahead and done. And so I went ahead and I thanked my husband for every trip we go. He's my driver, and whenever we go on road trips, he does most of the driving, and I get to rest.
Yeah. Oh,
And and then
appreciation.
we're gonna high five someone. I'm gonna high five you.
Oh,
I'm gonna tell you thank you for having this show and finding
oh,
clarity in the world of
oh.
why people can't accept their responsibility.
Mm.
And then there's the R, and the R is, what are you going to do to rest and relax today? So how are you going to rest and relax today? What are you going to do?
I'm going to rest and relax by doing some self-journaling later. I'm going to do that. I'm going to indulge in some lovely fresh strawberries, which I've been meaning to open. And
Ooh,
I'm also going to look at some documentaries on Netflix and see what I can get from there. That's how I'm going to relax this evening.
that sounds beautiful. I said I was going to hug my dog and take him for a walk and get some
Oh, what dog do you
exercise.
have, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, he is probably out with my husband right now. He is a poodle terrier, and
Oh,
he's a riot. If you go to Rosalyn Kahn's Instagram, you will see plenty of Rosalyn's
yes, I've
dog.
seen pictures.
The white little fluffy little guy, that's
Yes,
mine. And you know,
he looks
go
like
ahead
a
and
little
join on,
rascal.
and you can see all about me, the ins and outs of what
Yes,
I
I
do.
did.
TEDx speaker, author, humanitarian, model. You
Yes,
got it. It's all there. It's all there.
yes,
Rosalyn Kahn,
yes.
Rosalyn. Last name is Kahn. You can follow me. And the next thing is, who is it in the world that you need to say I love you to?
Oh,
So, you
I
know,
know who
there's a lady.
I know who I need to say I love you to. I don't
So
think you say it.
there's a lady, Kate, and Kate is in my Thrivers group. She and I met in a professional personal development group. But
Mm.
I want to tell my new person who's working on my web page that I love him because he's changed my perspective on people who are web developers. I want to tell his assistant, I love her because no matter how many times we do things, she never gets mad. She's always, oh, that's okay. We got it.
She's patient with you.
She's got the world's patience. And I'm going to tell my students I love them because I think sometimes that they need to hear that they are loved. And those are a few.
I think that's excellent because I can't remember growing up and hearing a teacher just thanking the class for their efforts, obviously if you went to this assembly or if you went on a school trip and you've done well, but in terms of actually valuing your students, I think that's lovely that you incorporate that into the day because it can make a difference. It really can.
Oh, wow. It's over here. Okay. And then the V is for value. And take time and appreciate someone for what they've gone ahead and done. And that was the person who's working on uploading the stuff to my webpage because, I said from day one, I'm a speaker.
Yeah, you are.
And things happen today, tomorrow, and the other day. And I'm in Vegas. Here's the event here. Make sure you get those photos up. And it's the after effect.
Yes, because I know you was a part of the modeling crew in regards to Father's Day. I did see those on your Instagram, by the way. I did see those. So I know you are a very, very busy woman. That's why I appreciate the time that you take just to even do this podcast with me. I really, really do. And I've got to put your book in my Amazon basket, the book that's called A Message for Tomorrow's Leaders. So yeah.
Definitely that would be awesome. And let me just tell the listeners out there what the book is about. It's 46 essays from people from 12 to 88, giving them advice on how we deal with the pandemic. I know, for example, in London and Canada, it's been wicked. People are locked in barrel in their houses and they're not allowed to get out, and it's horrific. I mean, here in the US, it is a cornucopia of activity that in California, supposedly the world is open, but you still see people around with masks, and there's a conversation, do masks go ahead and increase our health and this, that, and the other. And there were places on the East Coast in Texas that never had their masks, that never had close downs and lockdowns. So it's interesting. And there's supposedly a new virus that's out that could be deadlier before. And I don't know what's happening. So the next one is, who do we hold expectations that are unrealistic about? And who might those be? And what can we do to have a more realistic expectation of them? And the R was to realize that we're all different. Who is it in your life that you need to have a conversation with and listen to, get their perspective of what's right in the world and what will you do differently? And the S is for support. And who is it that you can go ahead and support? So that is my group, and every day we have a different person that goes ahead and talks about their definition of what the word thrivers is. And here is the point. Every one of us has a point in our life where the days don't go the way we want them to. And there's something that we can do to open up our minds to help us shift the mindset from bad to good. And the first thing that you need to do is to go ahead and look inside yourself and ask yourself the message that you're going ahead and giving to yourself. And number one, you can go and get something that you enjoy listening to. You can go and get some music that you enjoy reading. And you can go and get something that you go outside. And the important thing is, it's up to you to make the adjustment. And we're all in charge of our attitude. The situations don't call, but we can go ahead and change the attitudes. And who I am is I am, and we have the ability to make that change. It's a book of 365 things of how you can feel better about yourself.
Yeah,
who I am is I'm not a.
Drew me in. That's what drew me in when I read about it. I thought, yeah, this is the book that that out of all the books, because I know you've written a lot of books, but reading about that one, I thought that's the one that really drew me in. So
Yeah, and that book there, the one on the screen there, um, really touched my heart because in the pandemic, lots of things happened, but it became a guidebook. There's a kid who's 12 years old. His name is AJ Stunts. AJ Stunt is a humanitarian who will be awarded in this international event that I'm looking at for young people. So if you know a young person who's done some phenomenal things, reach out to me and I'll see if I can get him involved in these activities.
definitely.
This child is a stunt car rider, but during the pandemic, he was raising money to help a homeless center. Um, and he raised money to go ahead and get things together for young children who um, didn't have things. And he raised things for pets to have doggy treats and food and things like that. And it was just amazing of the things that he gave back every holiday, whether it was African American rights or Independence Day for the Hispanics. He just posted something on his page and he said, if there's anyone who needs some work being done this summer, I am here. I want to help you, serve you, and whatever I can do and get the work that needs to be done. How many kids do you know in the world would do something like that? I mean, it's just unbelievable. And, you know, he made the time, despite his busy schedule, that he could be included in my book. And he said, it's not one day, it's every day that we need to give back and give something to our society. So I'm going to ask you the question. If you're listening to this audio, this is Rosalyn Kahn from Southern California, wrote a book called Random Acts of Kindness. What today will you do to help make the world a better place? And if you would please go to my Instagram and let me know what you did, because all of us have the ability to change our world in which we live and make it a better place for everyone. And he's just one of the people in the book. There's another lady whose name is Pink Lady. She is 89 years young. She's effervescent, excited, and changing the world and how we live and how we look at things. And she's just rocking and rolling. And she's got her own show and her own series. And there are people from beauty contestants to people who have automotive things. There's a gentleman there whose name is Jonathan Lightman, and Jonathan Lightman was the head of the Faculty Association of Community Colleges. And when his wife read the story about him coming down, having pancreatic cancer, and becoming the anomaly, the person who survives, she said with tears coming down her face, this book needs to reach the world. Today I'm speaking to you from England. There's someone listening to the story who wants to change kids' life. Get this book into kids' hands. Put it in libraries.
Yes.
It's a book that changes lives. The cost of it is nothing. I mean, here in California, you can get a downloadable for less than a Starbucks. You can get the book for less than 2 Starbucks coffees. And the book will change your life. You can look at the reviews on Amazon. There's a lady called Songwriting Shame who raves about it. There's a person named Damien Joan who rocks about it. There's a person named Marneen Fields who's a performer who's performed with James Brown, who's gone ahead and posted up there. There's reviews in there by Carmelita Pittman, who's the Rose Breast Cancer Society. I've got luminaries and I have everyday people that's part of that book. And so rather than focus on the people who can't take responsibility, I like to leave people with an uplift in a positive way that we can look and live our life. And
well, thank you, Rosalyn. I wish I could talk to you all day, but I know you have a busy schedule. I know you've got another appointment after this, but I'm definitely quite taken back on some of the things that you said. And later on, it's always at the end of the day that I reflect on my day. So I know that I will be reflecting on this recording as well in terms of what you've said. But I just want to say a big thank you for joining me on the Lushea Wonders Why podcast. And I hope we still continue to stay connected. And I will be giving all those that are interested into your books and what you do, I will be sending the links out. So we're just going to close this podcast and say thank you for joining. Thank you,
Thank you
Rosalyn.
so much.
So welcome back, guys. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that interview with the lovely Rosalyn Kahn. I will pinpoint where you can find her more towards the end of the podcast. But I really hope you enjoyed what the conversation was about there. And it just really goes to show that sometimes with difficult people, like some of the examples that Rosalyn Kahn was saying, you've just got to surrender and be like, okay, all right. Okay, I know, I'm not, I didn't hear anything stupid. I know what I heard. I know what I did. I know what I said. Okay, all right, all right. Because sometimes it's just depending on who you're dealing with. To go around in circles, it's not helping anyone. And eventually, you do have to come to that stage. You do come to that stage where you just got to laugh and think, all right, okay. Because if you let it stress you and you let it get you down, it can just completely turn your day upside down, and then you can feel the tightness within your body. These are for those that are in tune with their body and their feelings and their emotions, because there are some people who I mean, everyone has emotions, but some people are not in tune with them, or they deny them and they just suppress them, kind of thing. So to conclude, I would say for why some people can't or choose not to admit that they're wrong, I think based on the conversation that you heard and obviously my opinion, I just think that it just can ruin relationships. And I'm not just talking romantic relationships, it could be friendships, situationships, part-time ships, full-time ships, work relationships, any kind of ships of connections. It can ruin relationships, and it really stops the individual from self-growth, and just it sends that negative impact. And people talk, people just think, some people think, oh, women talk a lot, but so do men. No matter the age. Try go in a good barber shop. Men talk. Men talk. Same way women talk, whether it's phone, face to face, whatever it may be. And I just think it just sends out negative vibes, and people catch on to experiences of what they've experienced with that person, and then they connect it up, and then they have a good chat wag, and then it's your reputation, that your record, as what my granddad would say, your record follows you wherever you go. So be careful of how you come across to people, and be careful of how you are a role model to people as well. You could be a role model to people that you don't even know who are looking up to you, whether you're related or whether you're on social media or what it may be. So it can really give a bad negative vibe if you're someone who, again, it depends on the depth of admitting to when you're in the wrong. It really can give a bad kind of profile. It also leads into the psychological issues as well, in terms of, I think personally, I mean, if you agree with me, I would love to hear your opinions on this, and if you don't, send your opinions in same way. I just think it can lead into someone becoming a very pathological, consistent liar. You can become a person that is quite toxic if you wouldn't, you're not born toxic, you can create that kind of personality about yourself where you just continually lie. You're continually the person that is always in the right, never in the wrong. And those are some serious psychological issues that can be dealt with if the individual wants to deal with them. So there's different stages and depths of lying, and it's that moral compass of, being objective and being absolute, and I am this person, and you know, I'm always right. That is not the case. No one is always right. It doesn't matter your educational background. That does not mean a thing to me. Like jelly bean, it does not mean a thing. What means a lot is the person of who you are and what you stand for. You know, just because you can have 3, 4, 5 degrees, 2 diplomas, and you've gone to school, don't mean a thing at all. It doesn't mean you're right because you've been, you know, fortunate to be educated so highly. That is not the case, because you can be educated so highly and really still be an idiot. You know, depending on what you have to say. So it's just one of those things. And I think if you do come across someone who's very hard-headed, whether they're in your circle, by circle, I mean in your friendship groups, whatever groups that you're in, I just think that if it's someone that you feel that is constantly always in the right, and they dim you down and they press you down, not physically, but in conversation, and it kind of belittles you and you feel a little bit small about yourself, then maybe you've just got to create some boundaries towards that person. Maybe you've just got to not see or speak to that person regularly, hence boundaries. Love them from a certain distance and stay calm, stay strong, and eat some Haribos. Continue with your life and keep it pushing, because it's not worth it, really. It's really not worth it. So I am glad that you have managed to get to this part of the podcast, season 5, episode 1. And if you are looking to get more information about the lovely Rosalyn Kahn, you can find her on YouTube as Rosalyn Hollywood. You can find her on the TEDx talk, on the Breaking Cultures Barriers, and you can find her on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram with her name spelled Rosalyn and Kahn Kahn. So you can find her anywhere. And if you're interested in books and you like reading and things like that, she's also on Amazon. As I previously stated, she is an author, a coach, and a professional speaker. And she's got about 3-4 books on Amazon. And, one of them I will be purchasing. And it's called, the one that I'm going for is called A Message for Tomorrow's Leaders. And that's just basically about a collection of personal testimonies from different types of people, age 12 to 88, with different ways of facing their fears and being in certain situations that's helped them overcome and just gain empathy and more responsibility. So that's the book that I will be going for come next week. And she's got other books out there like Random Acts of Kindness, and she's also got another book called Dogs and Roses. Dogs and Roses is about reducing the stress and anxiety in today's troubled times, with her experiences of loving dogs and being a dog owner as well. And she loves flowers, as you can find that on her Instagram. So if you want to tune into her and see what she's about in depth, be sure to connect with her. She's such a lovely, graceful person. Very grateful to have that interview with her. And I hope, guys, you have enjoyed it. Before I go, thank you for plugging in on YouTube, those that have plugged in depth for season 4, which was based about the visual monologue of Dented Smiles, part 1. You can catch me on YouTube, Lushea, Lushea, and you'll find the visual monologue there. You can also catch me on Spotify, Google, Anchor FM, and Apple, iTunes, same thing. iHeartRadio. You'll catch me if you want to hear my podcast in different areas. There's about 8 or 9 different platforms you can hear me on, and it's all free. It's all free. So I appreciate the donations, I appreciate the emails, I appreciate the likes, and I just appreciate you listening to this podcast, and I hope you have enjoyed it. And I will say goodbye, ta-ta, and good night. See ya. Hey. Okay, so Rosalyn, we are back again just for the brief questions, and I'm going to ask you two main questions towards the podcast conversation that we've just had, and that is, how can compassion help with self-development?
Okay, so I'm going to go way, way back to how we were created and brought into this world, and there was compassion and love that made the person that we are to here today. As a young child, we have compassion in us for that mother that feeds us milk, for the person who puts clothes on our back, and it becomes a choice. It becomes a choice that there are many people going out in life and they look for that person to love them, to love them, to love them. But the key, the secret is you have to learn to love yourself. When you can learn to love yourself, the rest of the world will come and be at your side. Compassion begins inside you.
Yeah, from within.
It's the things that you do. It's the earrings you put on. It's the necklace you put on. It's the way that you do your hair. It's the way that you speak the words that you have. If you learn to love yourself and realize the impact that you give to the world is what you do for yourself, that is how we can develop. That you can't compare yourself to someone else. I don't care how many thousands of likes that you have. I don't really care how much I have.
Yeah.
It's not going to change my sleeping pattern. It's not going to necessarily,
Yeah,
my bank
absolutely
account
right.
it's there's more that social media has done to damage our society than help us out. And so learn to love yourself irrespective of what others think.
Yes.
What others say.
The next question.
And just be the person you are. And so we're going to go on to hope.
Yes.
And hope is, and we have to have hope. Hope is, I heard a statement that if you were to know today was the last day of your life, what would you do? Where would you go? What would you do? What were the things that you were to go out and to go ahead and accomplish? And the hope is that we make each one of these days just exactly that, because we never know when our day is going to come to the very end. And so that by having this mindset of what we can do and be hopeful for a new tomorrow, we never know when that next tomorrow may not come. So do the things that you need to do today. Don't stop. Don't wait. Don't say later, I'll get around to it.
Yeah.
Because of the reality in life.
Yeah, I agree. I have that mindset now, even for the littlest things, Rosalyn. If I think the day is good to lawn mow the grass, I will just lawn mow the grass. I won't say, oh, I'll leave it in a few days' time, especially with British weather. I know it's completely different where you are in Los Angeles, but with the British weather, it's just the little things, even if it's just a to-do task that I need to do for promotion, or I need to get some reading done. I won't leave it till another day. I'll do my best to say, you know what, certain things can wait. I will put this first. So it's really a mindset thing. And I agree with what you're saying in regards to, if it's our last day, we got to make the most of it.
And why not treat every day as if it is? Treat every day as if it is. And when your time comes, you will not be forlorn for the life that you missed.
Exactly. Wow. You answered those pretty sharp and sweet, and just like the books that you have written, very sweet yourself. And I just want to say a big, massive thank you to you for your graceful spirit, for your time, and just being very real, very honest and real, even though we have never met one another or spoken. This is the first time. So I just want to say a big thank you for joining me on the Lushea Wonders Why podcast. And I hope to stay connected to you, and I'll say goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you so much. Gratitude beyond words.
That skyline.